Hey, tonight we welcome our esteemed guest, Jared Smith, Deputy Dean for the Emeritus Faculty of Education, who brings to us insight into how English develops professional writing, persuasive communication, critical thinking, and workplace-ready skills. Over to you, Jared.
Thank you so much, Naz. And yeah, it's really good to be part of the conversation. Oh, hi, we have a couple of people joining us. That's awesome. Oh, it's Umpile. How's it going? Right, the purpose of today's discussion is really to help you guys answer the question of why study English. Anybody who's kind of studied English or doing a BA, as most of you probably know, you often get asked, "What's the point? What's the value of this? What do you get out of it? And where can you go from here?" Uh, and hopefully, some of you have had good answers to those questions. But if you haven't, hopefully you can take away something of value from this presentation to give a really good answer if you get that question in the future. So the point today is really what a higher education English degree actually teaches you. So firstly, just a little bit about myself. Why am I talking to you? So my name is Jared Smith, as Naz introduced me to. A couple of my qualifications. I have a Bachelor of Arts in English Communication and Media from UKZN. I'm from Durban originally, and now I live in Johannesburg. I've got a Bachelor of Arts Honours in English from UKZN, a Master of Arts in English from UCT, and I'm currently busy with my PhD in English at Stellenbosch. And my topic for my PhD research is what it means to be queer at the end of the world, interrogating queer representation in South African post-apocalyptic and dystopian literature. And I really want to emphasize the value of English education through this presentation and to share a bit of my experiences of my educational journey in the process that's got me to where I am at the moment doing my PhD. My work experience has also been quite varied. I've had a foray in the marketing industry. I worked for a couple of years as a copywriter. I've also worked in the publishing industry as a copy editor. And for the last 15 years, I've been in academia as a lecturer. I've written a textbook, and my primary role currently is qualification, curriculum, and assessment design. So you have me and my team to thank or curse for the English curricular and assessments that you guys are busy studying. We've designed that, and we tweak and improve that every year based on the feedback that we get from you guys as students and from our lecturing teams as well. So that's me, and that's why I'm talking to you today is over my years of experience in my studies and my work, I've developed a really great appreciation for what English offers and what English has provided me in my kind of academic and industry journey. And I'm hoping that you guys can take something away from this and will hopefully have some really great experiences in your own journeys going forward. I had a couple of interactive elements in today's session. So if you are on the call, you are welcome to join and contribute. You are able to scan the QR code with your phone. It'll take you to this question. Or you can log in at menti.com and use the code that's on the screen. It's just a nice question to start off with, to think of your favorite text. So a poem, a book, a series, a film, and so on. And to think of 3 words that you would use to describe why it is your favorite. We'll give it about a minute to see, for those of you on the call to add. That'll be awesome. And the aim of this question, over and above being a kind of a starting point of a conversation, is it really, the act of thinking of these 3 words promotes the idea of critical and analytical thinking, which is one of the key skills that we're going to be talking about, that an English degree teaches you, to be able to find an answer to something and pare it down to something precise, like 3 words. And anytime anybody asks you a why question, it's about that analysis and interpretation and critical insight to be able to answer the why. Had a couple of responses, so funny, witty, the middle of it. That's great. Just while you guys are thinking, the reason of why my favorite book is my favorite is that my favorite book is 1984 by George Orwell. So if anybody knows it, it's one of an early example of kind of postmodern literature, in that it really gets to grips with what it means to be in a dystopian society where things have gone crazy wrong and you've now got to make it work. And what's been incredible about 1984 is it was written in 1948, but so much of the kind of characters and plot and kind of big brotherness of it all is so relevant in today's world. And the idea of even the Big Brother competition show came from that novel. And to me, it's been so relatable. And when I first read it as a student in my undergraduate degree, I was like, wow, it kind of blew my mind with how amazing and weird and crazy George Orwell's imagination became. And that stuck with me over these years as well. So this Metameter will be open for a bit if you want to add anything to it. But I think the idea is to be able to think critically about why, is one of the key questions and skills that we focus on throughout an English degree, in all the things that you do. So just in a nutshell, as most of you will know because you're busy with this, is what do you actually do when you study an English degree? So obviously you read and examine and talk about various literary texts, poems, short stories, fairy tales, novels, films, kind of TV series, graphic novels, and so on. And part of the elements that you talk about are how these texts have evolved over time, the different forms they take, the different themes that emerge from them, how they're structured, the different characterizations that you have, and the different types of characters and settings and storylines that emerge from it. A big part of an English degree itself is using literary theory to help you talk about all of these different types of texts. And the literary theory are sets of ideas, methods, or frameworks that we can use and latch onto to help us understand the how and the why, of English, and how and why these texts have evolved over time, and appeal to different audiences, and showing us different things. Another core component of an English degree is synthesis skills. So to synthesize something is bringing a bunch of different things together, and to make it into a new whole. So the idea of synthesizing in English is bringing different ideas, different theories, different evidence, and different texts together, and forming a coherent argument with those to address a particular topic. And as you guys would have seen in your assessment questions and in your class discussions, there's always a topic to address, or a question to engage with. And English is all about questioning and finding answers. And more than likely, there's never ever going to be a single right answer to something, but rather a range of answers that you can come up with and support, by drawing on literary theory and drawing on your own interpretation of the text themselves. And the way that you demonstrate all of this is through the writing skills that you learn. The formal skills like essay writing and paragraph writing, the creative skills coming up with poetry and short stories, and reflective skills. All throughout our English curricula, we ask you to reflect on your own work, on what you've learned, on what's gone right and what's gone wrong, and how you can improve and so on. Because reflection is such a core component of an English degree, but also a transferable skill that you can take beyond the degree itself. To be self-aware is one of the core kind of life skills that by focusing on it in an English degree in the way that we do can help you transfer it beyond your degree into the workplace and into your further studies and in your life. Um, Another short kind of Mentimeter question. Now that we've gone through kind of the key things that you do in an English degree, from your own experiences of those things in your studies, what do you find the most challenging part of being an English student? What frustrates you? What is the thing that is the most that keeps you up at night, particularly when trying to get through assessments? What do you think is the most challenging aspect of being an English student? Um, and think of it in comparison to the other modules that you're studying. Um, what makes English different and what makes English challenging? So there's a couple answers: reading and writing, and essay writing, yes. The formal language that's used, yes. English has its own kind of jargon, that there's a range of terms and kind of points of interest that do need to be learnt to be able to engage with the texts and to make those clear arguments that you've raised now. And that skill, that idea of creating an argument, on the surface it seems so simple. People argue with each other every day. You've experienced many arguments in your life. And the difference in an academic environment and in an English environment is that we try and prioritize and focus elements of logic in those arguments and substantiation and support. You could say a lot of things in an argument. You can have a lot of different opinions and interpretations of things. But a good argument is one that stands the test of time because it is supported by a range of different ideas and theories and other arguments themselves. And I'm glad somebody did raise it. Finding suitable evidence is one of the kind of core skills in higher education itself, and particularly in English. What does this evidence look like? Sometimes it could be what other academics have said about the text that you're studying. Sometimes it could be the theories that you find within the texts, or that the themes that the texts kind of cover. Evidence it could be a range of things, and what we focus on throughout is asking for credible evidence that is supported by its own research and academic integrity. So these are definitely challenging, and I think challenging for a reason, because working through them and finding your way through these challenges helps you develop the skills that you can take further and out into the workplace and further studies. And one of those key skills that encompasses all of these things that have been mentioned are critical and analytical thinking skills. And this slide is really talking about what that means. Why we focus on elements of critical and analytical thinking in English. And firstly, it allows you to critique different cultures and ideologies. Uh, Predominantly throughout your English studies, you'll be able to identify and start debating the assumptions, the biases, the different kind of power relations and imbalances and inequalities that you find in the novels and the short stories and the films that you study. Uh, and by analyzing these things and foregrounding issues of race and gender and class and representation, you can start to be more aware and more critical of how these issues appear in your own life. You are able to start identifying and seeing how these issues appear in the news, how different kind of politicians and public figures deal with these things in different ways. What do they prioritize? What do they start kind of focusing on or not focusing on? And again, also in the entertainment media, in the other TV series and movies and kind of video games you play, etc. Learning to be able to identify and critique issues of race, gender, and class, and so on, helps you be more aware of how these issues appear in life and what they work with, so that you don't fall victim to any of these issues or be kind of fall victim to something like propaganda. One of the key components of critical and analytical thinking is that it helps you develop evidence-based argumentation, that we spoke to you a bit on the previous slide. One of the key kind of rules and things that you learn through an English degree is to never accept something at face value. Never just because somebody says something, that's the correct thing. It's always about developing and interrogating something and finding the logical reasoning behind what was said. Um, and this requires kind of looking for the evidence, looking to see who else has said these things, what else has been said about the text that you're studying, and why have those things been said about those texts. And then the third point is correctly engaging with the text themselves helps you to develop your own skills of questioning, evaluation, and interpretation, which helps you to develop intellectual confidence and just kind of scratch your own curiosity itch and to find your own voice and to really develop your voice that you're able to have a clear, well-developed opinion about something, and to explain that to somebody else is one of the key components of engaging in your paragraph writing and your essay writing and your class discussions and debates and so on. That's what it builds up to, is helping you understand your voice and your position and helping you defend that. And lastly, but also very importantly, we study a range of different texts written by different authors over different time periods, because studying diverse subjects deepens our understanding of what it means to be human. And an English degree is a central component of a humanities education, and it helps promote and highlight and talk about why we have different cultures, why we have and engage with kind of the multilingual, multicultural society that we have, both in South Africa and globally. And it helps us find beauty in that difference, and also how we can navigate and negotiate those differences with ourselves and with each other. And I think a lot of the elements of English and the subjects of the novels and short stories that you study are often challenging. There may be traumatic instances of violence and kind of profanity that really challenge you to look beyond yourself and to look beyond your own circumstances and your contexts, to see what the value of looking at these kind of elements of kind of trauma, of violence, of profanity, like why they're there, what do they do, what purpose do they serve. Um, so everything that we engage in an English degree is there to help develop your own humanity and your own sense of self and sense of personhood. And I think out of all the subjects, English has a particular way of doing that because you're mostly engaging in other people's worlds and imaginations through the texts that you study. And so that gives you a glimpse into how other people think and what they think about and what they focus on and what they argue about. And you can then use that to compare it to your own world, your own kind of environments and your own kind of communities to see the differences and the similarities and then be able to find your place and your voice in amongst all of this. The last little Mentimeter thing today is just from your own experience. I thought it would be interesting to hear. We've spoken about the challenges, the things that kind of really frustrate you, and that you have to work hard to get through. Um, but you guys chose to study an English degree, and there must have been a reason why you wanted to study English, um, and potentially why you've chosen English as one of your specializations in the degree itself. So, what do you find the most rewarding part of being an English student? What keeps you coming back? What focus areas do you want to talk to your friends about once you've read a really good book or talked about a really good topic in your English class? The analysis part, yes, definitely. Getting your teeth stuck into something and really figuring out why something works and how it works. It's always really good to be able to talk to people about that and to get different opinions on how something works. So I'm glad to see the textual analysis part is coming through. Any other things that you find rewarding or exciting about studying English? Positive feedback. Yeah, that's great. I think one of the key components of um, marking any English assessment is to be able to give that constructive feedback, feedback that is going to be useful and valuable, because there's often never a right or wrong answer, but it's always how you've positioned your answer and what you've used to create that answer in terms of your own interpretation and the different sources and substantiation that you've used. So to be able to get feedback on that and learn where there might be gaps or how you can improve going forward is always a key component of studying English and what our English lecturers prioritize. Um, and yes, but it wasn't coincidence that these slides had a light bulb little kind of image on them. Um, Finding that idea of grasping the content and finding like having that light bulb go off in your brain of aha, I've got this, I know this, or wow, this is so meaningful, or this is makes me think of something differently. Um, is definitely one of the key strengths of being able to talk about the different things, the different topics and themes and characters and settings and plots that you guys engage in the English curriculum. And when that light bulb goes off in your brain, and when you can see it going off in other people's brains, it's a really rewarding moment. So thank you for that. Let's go back. There we go. So what does this all lead to? So we talked about like what are you doing specifically now in your English studies? So how are these skills transferable to a workplace? Why is English a valuable skill and degree to take forward out of academia as well? So we've spoken about the critical thinking component. Two key elements of any workplace and any job in a workplace is you would need to be able to solve problems and make decisions. And having gone through the critical thinking and analysis and developing those skills module by module, text by text, year on year, you help hone and fine tune your own ability to problem solve and make decisions and evaluate something. Uh, and obviously the discussions and the engagement that you have with your classmates, with your lecturers, and in your assessments help develop your communication skills, which would obviously enhance teamwork and leadership as well. Um, it was mentioned earlier about the most challenging components. Studying English is not easy. It takes a lot of time uh, because it requires a lot of work. There's a lot of reading and writing, and it's done purposefully like that, not to overwhelm you, but really to again fine tune your ability to balance a workload and to work to deadlines through self-discipline, through time management, and learning to be accountable to yourself and to others. Um, these are some of the key elements that you'll be expected to show in the workplace. And any of you or who are in the workplace at the moment would know. Finding time to balance different work tasks, being accountable to a line manager and to your colleagues, um, is incredibly important and something you have to do on a daily basis. So working through that now and developing your these abilities through the English degree that you're studying will help you be a better workmate and work colleague and an employee. Uh, a big part of studying the diversity in the various English texts is that engaging with diversity in this way helps promote cultural sensitivity and ethical awareness. Um, we're never going to be able to work um, in a vacuum. There's always going to be different people that we have to interact with and engage with. And these people might not share your same values or perspectives or beliefs. Um, and we have to be mindful of this and find ways to engage with people ethically and responsibly. And so dealing with sensitive topics in English, dealing with things that make you uncomfortable and make you question something that you never thought to question before, helps to be transferable to when you're faced with something uncomfortable or a workplace conflict that you have to engage in. So having these debates and engagements in your studies can help you learn and develop your own conflict skills and kind of uh, being able to work in teams that are diverse and different to yourself. And a big part of an English degree is learning adaptability. Um, as you guys will all know, jobs change as technology changes. Everybody's currently pivoting in the world because of AI and how AI has changed every aspect of our lives. Um, what an English degree in English studies teach you is because you develop and fine tune your critical and analytical thinking skills, you fine tune your ability to adapt and to think laterally, so to think outside the box. Um, you develop your skills to act ethically and to work responsibly under time pressure uh, with a variety of different tasks. And those are skills that are going to be crucial in any job to meet the changing needs of the workplace and society. And the last slide is some of the career pathways and opportunities that await you after you graduate. Uh, all of these are places and opportunities that our English graduates have gone into. So there's everything that's possible here. Some of it might require further study, like being a teacher or a lecturer or a researcher. Um, but there are many, many career opportunities that stem from a Bachelor of Arts in English. Some of them being going into journalism, into the publishing industry, into editing, working in the film and entertainment industry as a scriptwriter or a communication consultant. The content creation industry, social media, certainly your writing skills and your ability then in the next line to tell stories and to engage with audiences and would help you in things like marketing, public relations, corporate communication, and advertising as well. And we've had a number of graduates go into NGOs and different cultural institutions or work for local government in various ways to kind of promote social impact and advocacy. And I think a big part of an English degree is because of that level of cultural sensitivity and diversity in the text that you study, and the different levels of kind of engagement that you would have with diverse peoples and contexts. These would help in all of these career pathways and provide many opportunities to develop and excel in these areas. Um, and that's my last slide for the moment. Short and sweet, and I hope it had something of value to everybody. And I just want to say good luck for the rest of the semester in your studies. And I really hope that you can develop and fine tune those skills and take them out into the workplace and into your further studies and really embrace what it means to be human. Because I think that if anything is one of the key elements that an English degree teaches you is to embrace humanity in all its awesomeness and ugliness, and really to feel proud of who you are as a person and your community and your culture.
Thank you very much, Jared, for sharing your insights with us. And that was just such a lovely way to end the session. We really appreciate you taking the time. Um, just as I indicated, I did record the